Welcome back to the show, everybody. Check out these headlines. We got the state of Louisiana in the news. We got FLR and Celsius. We got Hugo Philion. We got an update on the most recent moves with the SEC versus Ripple from legal analysts. Gary Gensler's in the news. Binance is in the news. Brad Garlinghouse, the Fed, the BIS. Do we need any more? Somebody roll that beautiful intro.
Digital Perspectives with Brad Kimes. Come on in.
Welcome back to the show, everybody. You can follow me on Twitter at Dig Perspectives at the top of the screen, everything we're talking about here today. And give us a follow on Digital Perspectives News, no spaces, on Facebook or TikTok at Digital Perspectives, no spaces. All exclusive content on those platforms. We are now over $1 trillion for the crypto market cap, ladies and gentlemen. We're way far away from the $3 trillion plus we saw for an all-time high. But I tell you, it feels good just to see it back over $1 trillion, even if it's temporary. We're going to talk about that in a second. Right now, June 25th, 2022. Good morning, everybody. Bitcoin 21,000 plus, Ethereum 1,200 plus, XRP still at the number 6 spot at 37 cents. We're up 15% on the 7-day, regardless of all the mayhem we've been watching happen in the crypto space. Right now, ranging between 35 and 39 cents. There's quite a spread. We'll keep an eye on it. Take a look at this very quickly, ladies and gentlemen. Link to Private Investing Made Simple. You can buy some of the biggest and most successful companies in the Fintech blockchain space right here at link2.com. If you click that link in front of you or the one in the description or comment box underneath the videos. Be prepared for the market turbulence. Build a diversified portfolio. Reduce volatility with Link2. I tell you, they have some great offerings in there, and when they are not available anymore, don't get upset with me, because this is our window to really beef up. Now, I have some of these products and I love them. I love working with them and I love being a customer. Make sure you check out the link. And even if you're already registered with Link2, click that link. You want to guarantee that you get those deals. Make sure you click the link. Take a look at this. U.S. state of Louisiana is allowing financial institutions and trust companies to provide custody services for cryptos. U.S. state passes legislation allowing financial institutions to offer crypto custody. Look, I tell you, this really puts more pressure on the federal government to get some kind of clarity and legislation out for stablecoins and for custody. Now, we know that the OCC, when Brian Brooks was there, the Office of Comptroller of Currency, put out some issuances that really kind of laid the groundwork for banks to begin to offer custody. So we will see how this all pairs up as we move forward. But there's a lot to pay attention to, and this is one of the things we really need to pay close attention to. This is Hugo Philion right here. He said, I've reached out to Celsius. I will do my best to make sure that Celsius users can get their FLR. I can't guarantee anything at this point, but that's where we are right now. Now, the other part of this, and we'll get into this in a minute, is Celsius staring down more trouble. But right now, the whole crypto industry has been feeling the pain, except for Ripple. Ripple is hiring. Bitpanda, Coinbase, and many, many other platforms are laying off. Bitpanda has announced their layoff of 730 people out of just 1,000 employees. Now, that is one hell of a layoff right there. Let's take a look at this. This is a recent update right here from Bill Belisarius on the post from Jim File, and shout out to you, Jim, as well. This is about the SEC filed under seal its proposed redactions to the Ripple defendants' response to the SEC's opposition of the Amici motion to participate in the expert challenge. The SEC also publicly filed a letter explaining its proposed redactions. This is from Bill that says, thanks, James. He says, it's concerning that this letter shows that the SEC is seeking to seal anything, even a footnote, that shows the substance of expert witness Mr. Patrick Doty's evidence. He gives evidence about the reasonable expectations of XRP holders who acquired XRP, but the SEC does not want those XRP holders to see his evidence. The SEC likes to do things in the dark behind closed doors. Mr. Duty's evidence for which he is being paid by the U.S. taxpayers should be made public. Great point. On top of that, the SEC wishes to seal the nature of the threats and harassments. This prevents the public forming a view about how serious it was and the risk to the expert and whether it justifies keeping from the public the substance of Mr. Duty's evidence. Not one bit of this will improve the tarnished reputation of the SEC. It's what a great analysis right there. And here comes some more analysis right here from attorney Jeremy Hogan right here. Chair Gensler feels his agency's grasp on power will be weakened with legislation, so he's trying to broker a deal with the CFTC before that happens. If you take a look at this, I want to show you right here very quickly. SEC Chair Gary Gensler is in talks with CFTC officials on a memorandum of understanding known as MOUs on the regulation of digital assets. Together, the agencies can assure market integrity. Gensler told Financial Times in an interview published Thursday, "I'm talking about one rule book on the exchange that protects all trading regardless of pairing, whether it's security to security token, security to commodity token, you get it, so on and so forth." Gensler's desire to be collaborative comes as a variety of legislative initiatives have been introduced to create a more comprehensive regulatory framework for digital assets. The Digital Commodities Exchange Act, introduced in its latest form in April, and Responsible Financial Innovation Act, introduced in June, both gave CFTC greater authority over the market. Debbie Stabenow, chairman of the Senate Agriculture Committee, which has oversight over the CFTC, and committee's ranking members John Boozman, are reportedly also drafting crypto regulation bill, which is expected to expand the CFTC's powers. Gensler, who headed the CFTC from 2009 to 2013, has expressed skepticism about changes in the status quo. The SEC has taken the lead in crypto regulation so far, but frequently to the dissatisfaction of the industry and other lawmakers, even inside the SEC, like Hester Peirce. Very quickly, because I have to remind people, and look, there's hundreds of people joining the channel every day, when they talk about splitting the duties between, the CFTC and the SEC, be very careful, because they use verbiage that makes it like, half of the 19,000 will go to the CFTC and half of the 19,000 tokens will go to the SEC. No. They talk about market cap. That's what they're talking about. So Ethereum and Bitcoin make up a relatively half of the crypto market cap, and those two would go to the CFTC, and the other 19,000 plus would go to the SEC. You see how weird that got just that quick? So be very careful when they talk about splitting these duties, what they actually mean. Now, the DCA Act was mentioned in there, and we know that has been really, really supported by Ripple and Brad Garlinghouse. We looked at that a long time ago when it was first put out, and it does seem like it could be great legislation for the digital asset space. Look right here. Crypto exchange Binance is under investigation by the U.S. When it's all over, CEO CZ Binance could end up indicted or become the richest man in the world. Now, what do you think? And here's what I know. I'll tell you this, and by the way, CZ says the comments here says it all, while most journalists at Bloomberg are good, but this time it was bad. Yeah, well, he says here, Bloomberg, hey, will you do a nice profile piece on you, invite you to photo shoots, then switch the story last minute, ignore all the positive comments they got from third parties, picked only old negatives, and still put you on the cover? WTF, unprofessional. So it feels like a hit piece to him. And I have to say, whether it's the exchanges or whether it's private stable coins, we got big trouble coming to this space. John Deaton says it right here and nails it to the wall. He says it's so easy, and this is in regards to the Binance article about being investigated. It's so easy to see the plan. Gary Gensler will sue an exchange or exchanges by the end of the year. It will be his final act to cripple the crypto markets. His Wall Street buddies will buy at depressed prices before regulatory clarity. Then those Wall Street insiders will promote crypto. It's exactly what we've been talking about for a long time. This is the watershed moment that we're in, along with this. Jerome Powell says the Fed plans recommendations to Congress for central bank digital currencies. Now, I'm not going to read the whole thing, but with that being said, this will need some approval from Congress, and that rollout of the digital dollar would likely have to be handled by the government itself rather than a company. I want to encourage you to know that this aligns greatly with what we have heard from Chris Giancarlo, former CFTC chairman, now crypto dad, who is also the head of the Digital Dollar Project, who told me specifically in a conference or webinar that basically, the U.S. government should consider adopting value protocol or protocols to make sure they're held to the constitutional standard so that the citizens of this country and really around the world that use the network get that protection. He is concerned that if we let the private sector have complete control over our money, a digital dollar, that what you could see is what we're witnessing in social media right now, which is what? You see social media really using censorship, and it's being outsourced by the government through that private social media platform. We witness this every day on the different platforms that we use on here, right? And in order to make sure that that does not happen, you could take a private sector company or product and adopt that and hold it to a systemically important standard or designation, which then in turn would make sure that we all have the freedom to use this network and the privacies to go with it. To reinforce this notion, Brad Garlinghouse was just at the Collision Conference, and listen to what he says. Why do we need 10 or 20 private stable coins for the US dollar? Great question, Brad Garlinghouse. Take a listen.
Well, did you mention Terra Luna just now?
Yes.
Because I think that's less an example of a scam, and it's more an example of creating something that maybe just shouldn't have existed in the first place. So, all right, so, there are payment stable coins where they're backed by a currency, and there's a new proposal from the Biden administration that, those should be regulated like banks, and they should have deposit insurance, which, okay, I don't know what you think of that.
I'm not sure is the short answer. I think stable coins as a category, I think, have a role to play, particularly in domestic settlement. I haven't yet seen exactly where the U.S. is going to come out here. Other countries around the world clearly are doing more ahead of the U.S. and how they're kind of approaching central bank issued digital assets. What's confusing to me is why do we need 10 different U.S. dollar stable coins or 20? Right. And if the U.S. if the U.S. is going to do a central bank issued digital currency, why do we need private dollar stable coins also? Right. That gets a little confusing for me.
So maybe
Well, it gets confusing for us too, Brad. I tell you, I love the G-Shucks Columbo side of Brad. I think Brad knows the answer. That's what I think. Especially when we already have the USD coin. And you have to ask yourself, if Binance, the largest exchange in the world, is being investigated by the U.S. government or SEC right now, wouldn't he be the poster child of the exchange to sue to really put the market back in order? Wouldn't the USD coin, knowing that they're getting ready to launch the Euro coin as well, be that particular project that could be cited for adoption by the federal government, and the Euro coin could be adopted by the European Union? Wouldn't this bring the kind of clarity we need? And isn't it true that, in fact, that, as we look at all of this stuff, isn't USD Tether the private stablecoin equivalent of Binance and the unregulated exchange that's been around the world making tons and tons of money? Isn't this the watershed moment that new emerging asset class like this is in right now, where we see mergers and acquisitions? Aren't we seeing the market get crushed by regulatory agencies to bring it into the framework, as they say, but also allowing the Wall Street investment banks and such to come in and buy these entities and platforms for pennies on the dollar. And then all of this innovation, all of this, what's successful, what is, it's been bought off the ground to save us, obviously, right, is the narrative. But the truth is, it's because it's the time for the banks to come in. Because they've been watching their customers walk across the street to these so-called exchanges and DeFi platforms and buy this crypto stuff and stake their crypto and get returns and yields that they can't give them. And isn't it their time to say, it's over now? We're going to buy these things. Regulation's going to crush the market. We're going to come in and pick up the stuff off the floor that we want to keep. We'll revive it, and now we own it. And now is the time for the banks. I tell you, Celsius has brought in advisors to help prepare it for a potential bankruptcy, according to Wall Street Journal. And of course, Goldman Sachs is looking to raise $2 billion from crypto funds, vulture investors, and other financial institutions to buy up Celsius network assets in the event of a bankruptcy. Well, of course they are. Welcome to the dog-eat-dog world of business and finance. I told you, banks are done sitting on the sideline watching their customers go buy from cryptocurrencies exchanges. Now they become the exchanges and the platforms. See how easy that was? And at a discount also. Begs the question from Kevin O'Leary, who's next? Is it CZ-Binance? Is it some other exchange? Is it multiple exchanges? Is it USD Tether? It is easy to see to me that it is clear that a couple big players are going to be targeted here, whether it's CZ or USD Tether or other entities and platforms. But there is going to be someone that is exposed and taken down here. And if I had to guess, I'm not wishing for these things. I'm observing the market and sharing my digital perspectives, not financial advice. But when I look at this market right now, what I see is a watershed moment. And the huge banks and players are moving in, and the government too. Because in fact, if USD Tether ends up getting collapsed or taken out because it is a private stablecoin and then there is no need for it, if the USD coin, let's say as an example, were to be adopted by the US government with a value protocol like XLM, XRP, or both, well, then what's the market look like? It looks like USD Tether could be made to be a private stablecoin that's been out here operating willy-nilly, doing whatever it wants, printing billions of dollars worth of Tether to fluff up Bitcoin or to take it out, right? We all know the drill. When we see $1 billion worth of Tether printed, the next thing you know, Bitcoin has a run. Well, what has dominance over the crypto market itself? Bitcoin does. So the truth is, if Wall Street is manipulating through USD Tether because they've got the money to do it, hasn't Wall Street been controlling this entire market until they were ready to come and get it? That's going to do it for me, ladies and gentlemen. The time is now. And I think during this moment, as we witness this new emerging asset class and the banks come and get it for pennies on the dollar, if we have placed our bets right, I believe not too long from now, we will all reap the harvest. Not financial advice from me or anyone else. That's where we are on this day. I'll catch all of you on the next one.